there, friends, and welcome to episode 314 of Just the Zoo of Us. This week, I'm joined by a familiar voice and face in the world of animal science communication. Sarah Suta, host of the series Bizarre Beasts, is here to talk with us about some of the animals she would like to see get a second chance, whether they're species we've already lost or ones that might still have a shot. We discuss foreign exchange student accents, the ecological impact of the invention of the telegraph, bird call sheet music, the scientific fumble of the century, bison where you least expect them, and so much more. Just the Zoo of Us presents Sarah Suta's top 3 dream comebacks. Weatherford with Just the Zoo of Us, your favorite animal review podcast. I am really excited this week. We have a brand new friend, possibly not like a totally unfamiliar face and voice to people who listen to this podcast. There's probably a good bit of overlap in that Venn diagram, but my first time speaking to you, I'm very excited. We have Sarah Suta. Say hi, Sarah.
Hello. Hi. It's great to be here.
The reason that a lot of people listening to the show would probably be familiar with your work would be because of your work with YouTube series like Bizarre Beasts and Endlings and PBS Eons and things like that. What got you into the work that you do, making this like really, what I feel to be like really approachable and engaging educational content about nature? How'd you get into that?
Yeah, thank you. Always loved animals, critters, biology, etc. When I was in high school and I was applying to colleges, I was like, well, maybe I want to do zoology, maybe I want to do film, I don't know. And then I went into college and I could not pick. And so I double majored in biology and radio, television, film. And then when I was looking into, because I wanted to go to grad school and I was looking into getting a documentary like MFA, and then I saw that there was a program for science and natural history filmmaking. And so I got my MFA in science and natural history filmmaking. And yeah, it took a little while to get a job really doing that, but eventually I started working at Complexly, which is, if people know Hank and John Green, it's their company. We make SciShow and Crash Course and a million other cool shows. But yeah, I started out as a video maker on SciShow, and then I have produced a bunch of other shows. And most recently, I was the producer for PBS Eons, and I've been the producer for Bizarre Beasts for the past 5 years. And recently, we started making a sub-series on Bizarre Beasts called Endlings. So now I'm just doing Bizarre Beasts and Endlings, and it's great. It's fun. I love telling people about weird critters.
So I feel like the path that you took is a really cool way to get into it from like the creative side of things.
Yeah.
While you're also learning a lot, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
you have to do so much research and you have to like communicate with so many experts and stuff. Like I bet you've had some really cool learning experiences.
Oh, sure. I work with excellent writers. I am not writing the episodes, but our folks who are doing all the research, doing a great job writing excellent episodes. And then occasionally we get to work much more closely with a researcher, a biologist. You know, like we did an episode on GAR, and we got to work with Dr. Solomon David.
I know him.
He's great. He's the best. Yeah. He is the best.
He's awesome.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. He's so good. But yeah. And so like just people who are super passionate who also just want to like bang down your door and say, no, really, you need to know about this. There's like when we did our episode on shipworms, talked a lot to Ruben Shipway, who's doing all this shipworm research. Very cool guy. Yeah, and like, you know, we just did an episode about pseudoscorpions, and I had to reach out to all these researchers in Japan who sent me a bunch of stuff, and they were just so excited to send me photos and things, and it's great, because I feel like a lot of times, especially if you're working on something really sort of niche, like a weird sort of thing, nobody asks.
Right.
And so they get really excited when it's like, oh my gosh, you want to know? You want to see this weird little guy that we've been spending all our time figuring out? Yeah, of course.
You want to see my life's work for the last 30 years that you're the first person that's ever asked me about?
Oh my gosh, yes.
I have found that there has been so much like warmth and people just get so excited to tell you about this stuff. They're like, please no.
Yeah, the episode we did on venomous frogs, there's an amphibian researcher that we had talked to before when we did the Sicilian episode. And in the paper about the venomous frogs, there's like an allusion to, oh, somebody picked one up and they got hit in the hand and that's how we figured out that they were venomous. He wrote us back this big email. It was him! He's the one who got it like right in the palm. And he was like, yeah, and we were hours away from anywhere. So, yeah. There are all these incredible stories out there and just nobody asks.
Well, I wonder if maybe more people had asked more questions and maybe more people had that sense of curiosity. Maybe we wouldn't have so many endlings.
Maybe, yeah, totally. If people were appreciating the critters for what they are and what they do and not, just trying to get around them or over them.
I did want to ask, because you mentioned that y'all are now working on this sort of spin-off series from Bizarre Beasts called Endlings. And I'm going to ask you in a minute what Endlings means for people who don't know. But before we talk about that, I did want to know, was there anything in particular that like inspired that? Was there anything like particular going on or like something that made you feel like, oh, we should do like a series about this?
Dr. Darcy Shapiro, who is our editorial director, she wrote most of the original episodes of Bizarre Beasts. A year or so ago, we finally got a freelance writer who is writing most of them now, Jake Withy. But she and I were talking about things like 3 years ago, I think, and we were thinking about like a pitch for a new show. And we were like, oh man, if sky's the limit, doing something that was about extinction, just like broadly, and getting into more like philosophical ideas about what it means for something to actually be gone and how just sort of the way we think about animals and think about ecology changes. All of these questions around extinction, like, could it ever be a positive thing? Do we have a moral obligation as human beings to keep things around, whether or not these things are useful or not useful, or when these things are interacting with human beings, who wins out in those situations? Just thinking about, like, could we make a natural history show that could get into these philosophical questions? It's also like a little bit related to Callie Moore on Eons. We had been talking to her. She had said like, man, I wish there was a show in between Eons and Bizarre Beasts that was like about recent extinctions. And so that is a little piece of it. And then also, like, my thesis work for grad school was about the environment and the apocalypse, and sort of about the ideas of, like, when a zoo becomes a museum of, like, this is what wild animals in their natural environments looked like back when those environments existed and these animals existed in their natural environments. When both are gone, like, how long do you keep them? What is the obligation there, especially if there would never be a way to return them? And just sort of like weird thoughts like that. We're just like swimming around.
Yeah.
We're just like, could we do this? Could this be a show? I don't know.
I like the Star Trekification of like everything being like, what are the moral implications of this? You know, like how does this fit into our like value system? And like, do we need to come up with a new value system to accommodate it? Yeah. Like, because like not unprecedented, right? Because extinction has been happening alongside us the whole time.
Sure.
But I think now we know about it and are like acutely aware of it happening around us all the time. So like our culture needs to catch up to like the understanding of what's going on in the world around us.
Yeah, and the ideas of like usefulness when it comes to plants and animals, bacteria, fungus, etc. Is it that we just don't know its place in the ecosystem? Like it probably has one. It's probably doing something. You know, it's a puzzle piece, like a Jenga piece or whatever, that if you pull that out, is something else going to fall apart like years from now that we don't even know about. And at the same time, if you pulled it out and nothing changed, is there still an obligation to keep it because everything deserves to still exist? And even if something was, you know, extinction does happen naturally. Things do obviously go extinct. It have been happening for ages. But the speed is another thing, like the shifting baselines concept of right now, you look outside and it's like, oh, I saw 3 cardinals. This is a normal amount, where like 70 years ago, same time of year, same situation, they looked outside and saw like 50 of them and thought, yeah, this is a normal amount. Where your snapshot is different. And so like, when we're preserving an ecosystem, we're preserving species, what snapshot are we trying to preserve? Are we trying to get it back to numbers in the distant past, or we're trying to get it back to what it was 20 years ago, or we're keeping it right here, right now, and not letting it get worse? Like, all of these things are so complicated.
Yeah. I remember when we did an episode on the saiga, the antelope.
Oh, yeah.
The saiga would go through these, like, because this is an antelope. It's not like a tiny animal.
Yeah,
it's like a fully ungulate, like deer-sized animal. But like, even just within like a decade or two, they could go from like a few 100,000 to like 2 or 3 million.
Oh my gosh.
And like, but like, that's just like they just naturally have like a very bouncy population.
Yeah.
So it's like, that would kind of make it difficult of like, how do you determine, like, are they doing okay?
Right.
Are they not doing okay? Are they about to go extinct, or are they just on one of those like natural downswings that they have in their population sometimes?
Yeah.
So like,
and are there edges to that? Like, is there you could get too low and it wouldn't come back? And how do you determine what that is? Yeah.
Oh, man. As a sci-fi wall of text reader, I just finished reading Dune. So,
oh, goodness.
Like,
yeah.
I love the intersection of like ecology and like ethics of like, what's our job? We have great power. What is our great responsibility? Like,
oh, yeah.
Now, for anyone who is intrigued by this concept, let's lay some groundwork a little bit here. Okay, what is an endling for someone who's never heard of it?
Right, an endling is the term applied to a last member of a species. So if there is only this one turtle left, and there are no other turtles in that species at all, he is an endling. The very last guy.
Pour one out for Lonesome George.
I know,
my
gosh.
boy.
Yeah. 100%. Off the top of my head, I do not know when the term was coined.
It's a beautiful word.
It's really nice. It's like, there's a sadness to it, like a sweet...
It's a melancholy whimsy almost to it.
Yeah.
Like, there's actually a video game called Endling.
Oh, yeah.
I played it, actually. What's it called? Endling, Extinction is Forever. It's where you play as a little, like, fox. I mean, red foxes, obviously, are, like, the farthest you can get from being an endling.
They seem to be doing pretty well in most situations,
Yeah, but this is supposed to be, like, a sort of post-apocalyptic sort of, or at least, distant future sort of thing where, like, there's very little nature left. And so the foxes are, like, the last foxes, and you have to take care of your cubs and stuff.
Oh.
It is, like, it's a very melancholy idea, right? The idea, especially for such a social species, right, as people, it's, like, devastating to think about being the last one,
Totally.
I have to wonder if, like, other animals that are not so socially inclined would feel the same way. Like, if you had, like, an animal that, like, I don't know, I'm thinking of, like, an octopus or something that really does not care to be in the presence of others of its species, if they would be like, that sounds great.
But they want to pass on those genes, though, at a certain level. And the inability, I think this is correct. Watch me be wrong. I think this is true. Giant Pacific octopuses, when they keep them in aquariums, because they die after mating, so they will keep them for a certain amount of time, and so they're living longer than they would naturally because they are not reproducing. And then I believe, at least at some aquariums, they will, after a certain amount of time, they will release them so they can go fulfill their ultimate genetic plan and then succumb to the
to the waters of time.
Yes.
I know the Seattle Aquarium does that.
The
Seattle Aquarium, every time they bring a Pacific octopus into their tank, they only keep it for like a year, and then they re-release it and bring a new one in.
That's really great. They get like a weird little, like a sabbatical or a foreign exchange program. They get to go live on land for a year, learn about stuff.
But then they get to come back right before they die. So they're like, oh man, like I don't have anything to bring back, I guess.
Well, they go mate. They go like pass on something.
They come back with like, but also you could like totally reinvent yourself.
Oh yeah. If they were not a cool octopus before.
No, but now you are. Now you've got an accent, and now you like call things a little bit. Sorry, that's what they call it topside. They call it a flat up there.
Yeah. That's good. That's really
You could be the most annoying octopus in high school. When you're thinking about animals that are like on the brink of extinction, or even animals that have gone extinct, especially when you're thinking about animals that have gone extinct pretty recently. So like we have, well, not necessarily living memory of it. We have things like pictures. We have things like specimens, and we have like evidence of what they would have like looked like and acted like and things. And a sort of logical place for people's mind to go is often like, what if we had them back? What if we could bring them back? What if we could resurrect them? Or what if they're at that endling state still, what if we can turn things around and like revive them and have them back again? So what we wanted to talk about in this conversation is your dream comebacks. So a species that is extinct or functionally extinct, you know, to an extent that like a species that we need to bring back, a species we could save. Like if we could wave a magic wand and have them and fix everything, fix all their problems. So I want to talk about your top 3 dream comebacks. What's your number 3?
You know, I think a part of this is because I don't live on the East Coast, so I wouldn't really have to deal with it. But passenger pigeons would be incredible. I just want to see it. I want to see the flocks. If people don't know, these were birds. They were a little bit bigger than mourning doves, around the size, maybe slightly smaller than most city pigeons, like rock doves, but they lived all over the East Coast, like southern East Coast of the United States. They normally would migrate from like Georgia area to Detroit, Philadelphia, so like all eastern seaboard kind of things. There was a time when that was so forested, so very, very forested, and a lot of those trees produced nuts and seeds, and the birds ate those like mad. Most of those forests no longer exist. Some of those trees don't really exist. The American chestnut, not doing great. I think maybe there are some, but a blight came in and those are mostly gone as well. But the reality where we could have those birds and also had the environment to support those birds, that would be so cool. It'd be so great. I mean, like, I always think about what else are we missing? You know, like the fact that there were millions, billions of those birds. Like it was like 1 out of every 4 birds in North America was a passenger pigeon. Jeez. If you just grabbed 4 birds, the odds.
Look to your left, look to your right.
Exactly.
If neither of those is a passenger pigeon.
Yes. So it's just like, oh man, the support for so many other things, like the changes in the soil consistency and the nitrogen levels because of carpeting of bird poop on everything when they came into an area. The way that would change how other plants would grow in those areas, like both from them breaking branches overhead and causing clearings, but also just like that soil change. All of the predators that could, like, there's so many little guys. They eat little eggs. They eat little baby birds. They eat bigger birds. You know, like foxes, bears, cougars, everything would be just like munching on those guys. And so now that they're gone, like, where did those shifts happen? What are they eating more of now that they weren't before? Is it just like all the population decreases of so many critters with the loss of these guys and the loss of those forests? Like, there's so many cascading kind of changes that would happen if all of that was still in existence. It's just a very exciting concept to me.
Yeah. Now, I don't know very much about passenger pigeons. All I know is that they used to be here and they're gone. What happened? How come they're not here no more? Yeah. It sounds like they were doing great. It sounds like it would take something pretty drastic to bring down an empire of that magnitude.
Yes. There are the big things. So we did an episode of Endlings about this. People were hunting them for ages. The trees that they would go to mast. And so, like, in different years, the trees would produce like a huge amount of acorns, chestnuts, whatever, but not in the same place every year. And so the birds, where they migrated and where they moved to, changed a lot. It was very changeable. And so for a very long time, you know, you just had to be in the right place, or you had to get there and find out about it. The invention of the telegraph very much changed that. Suddenly people could say, hey, the flock is coming this way. Get over here.
You got push notifications.
Exactly. Suddenly made it much easier for people to find out where those birds were going to be and hunt them en masse. And then also the railroad came in, and that made it much easier to transport huge amounts of meat. And so suddenly there was also an economic reason. Apart from these things are eating our crops, there was also people will pay money for this meat in a big city. And so they could get the meat on a train and send it to Chicago, send it to New York, where people would pay for it. And so there were economic incentives for it and also things that made it easier to hunt them. We didn't get into this in the episode, but the other big things were changes in the way that we logged and sawmills. The technology there, it became so much easier to clear cut, which was harder and more just manually doing it, where suddenly they had a lot more industry and systems for cutting down vast swaths of forests. And then there's like the weird kind of new theories, which we also didn't really get into in the episode.
Wake up, babe.
Oh, yeah, totally.
New hypothesis just dropped.
I know. With all of that, obviously, the indigenous people, they were living all over there. There were so many more of them than there was just like 100 years after colonists came because of smallpox and whatnot. So they were obviously eating these birds. They were doing all of that. They were also managing those forests. And so they were making sure that trees that produced food crops were prevalent in those forests. They were planting them, making sure they were there. They were cutting things that did not produce useful stuff. Suddenly, with a huge decrease in the population of those people, there were a lot more food trees all in those forests, and that led to huge spikes in passenger pigeon populations. And so that is also like another level of this where there maybe could have been a more balanced sort of thing before we came in and messed it all up, that then it was so out of balance, the sudden, and now there are no trees, like that shift was so bad that it also threw the whole thing out of whack. It's very complicated.
It's kind of like you were saying, how like you don't always know what removing one thing is going to do, like what is the cascading effect that's going to happen.
100%.
I feel like there's taxidermied specimens of these, right? I feel like I've seen one in a museum.
Yeah, a lot of museums have specimens because there were, millions and millions of them.
It sounds like they had some to spare.
Oh, yeah, totally. Doing study skins also is a thing that people have been doing since, this is me wild guessing here, 1700s, I think. And we were still having, millions of these things, early 1800s, mid 1800s. And then once the numbers were really decreasing, I think every museum was like, oh, heck, we need some of these. Send it our way. Yeah, so we definitely have them in museums all over. I think the last one, the Endling, is at the Smithsonian. Martha. Yeah.
Beautiful Martha.
Yeah, it's rough. She, for a species that was living in flocks of, 100,000 million birds, to spend her last, I think, 4 years completely alone.
The only one. And obviously, she wouldn't have known, right, that she was the last one.
She's a bird. Yeah.
That's only sad for us, I guess. But it's still, I mean, there's such a finality to it, right?
Oh, gosh, yeah.
And also this sense of desperation of, what do I do with the last, glimmer of time that the species has left?
Yeah.
If we could resurrect them and, you had one before you living in the flesh, what would you do?
Oh, my gosh. I'd take so many pictures.
I'm just envisioning, a sort of, unveiling. There's a big ceremony. Look, we have a live passenger pigeon for the first time. Are you going for the pet? Are you going for the hold 'em? Are you going for the cuddle?
Oh, my gosh. I mean, if it was okay to give them a little pet, I definitely would. I would have to ask whoever has been holding it whether or not they will do a step up, and get on your
step.
Yeah, grabbing it, picking it up, I feel like is I don't know. I don't know if I want to do that to a bird I don't know. That seems rude.
We're not there yet. Maybe give them a little seed.
Oh my gosh, yes.
A little snack, a little treat.
For sure.
As a welcome back. A little welcome back present.
Yeah.
Although a welcome back party would be very overwhelming for a bird. I think the bird would not be into that idea so much.
Totally.
The bird would be like, no thanks.
This is loud and weird. Yeah.
You guys are all a lot.
Yeah.
Hey y'all, we're taking a quick break to hear from some of our friends on the Maximum Fun Network. When we get back, we're going to hear Sarah's top 2 dream comebacks, so stay with us.
Hello?
Hello, I'm calling on behalf of the Beef and Dairy Network podcast.
No, I'm sorry. No sales calls. Goodbye.
It's a multi-award-winning podcast featuring guests such as Ted Danson, Nick Offerman, Josie Long.
I don't know what a Josie Long is, and anyway, I'm about to take my mother into town to see Phantom of the Opera at last. You are wasting my time, and even worse, my mother's time. She only has so much time left. She's 98 years old. She's only expected to live for another 20 or 30 years. Mother, get your shoes on. Yes, the orthopedic ones. I don't want to have to carry you home again, do I?
Right, well, if you were looking for a podcast...
Mother, you're not wearing that, are you? It's very revealing, Mother. This is a musical theatre, not a Parisian bordello.
Simply go to MaximumFun.org.
I'm reaching for my Samsung Galaxy 4 as we speak. Mother! Mother, not that hat!
Have you been looking for a new podcast all about nerdy pop culture? Well, I have just the thing for you. Secret Histories of Nerd Mysteries.
Secret Histories of Nerd Mysteries is a weekly pop culture history podcast hosted by me, host Alston.
And me, host Brenda. We've already tackled mysteries such as what happened to the puppets from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? Is Snoopy Mexican? And why do people hate Barney so much?
From theme parks to cartoons to 80s, 90s, and 2000s nostalgia, we tackle it all.
Check us out every Tuesday on MaximumFun.org and wherever you get podcasts.
What's your number 2 dream comeback? Who are we bringing back?
Oh my gosh. So, giant tortoises on both the Seychelles, which is Indian Ocean, and the Galapagos, which is the Pacific side of, right?
Yeah, Pacific side of South America.
Of South America. I was like, wait, it's not on the Atlantic side, is it?
No.
I think it is. Got scared.
That's on my side. Best Coast, baby.
Oh, well. In both situations, there were like at least subspecies levels of difference between the tortoises on different islands. And when sailors came around, they were like, oh my gosh, these are the best because we need food in our boats. Our boats take forever to get anywhere. And these guys, unlike putting like a pig or chickens in your boat, this guy, you could just put it in the hull. You could even stack them and they wouldn't move around. And
you just forget about them.
Yeah. Don't really have to feed them for ages. Like, make sure they have water, maybe.
Like a Minecraft mob or something like that. They just like, you don't got to do nothing. You could stick it in a hole.
Yeah, totally.
It's not nice to do that. I'm not saying do that. I'm just saying this was there.
Yeah, it was just very convenient in a time before refrigeration or anything else to have this sort of food stock that they could put in a boat for ages. But every time they got off on an island, they didn't really look or care what island they got them from originally. And so these tortoises that had been separated for like 100,000 years, or who knows, I don't remember the exact geography of when all the islands stopped having land bridges, but they had never been on those islands, and the people were just like, okay, we don't need you. Get out. You won.
You're both tortoisey shaped, I guess.
Lucky guy. Here you go. Be with your friends. And the tortoise is like, I've never been here before.
I don't know this man.
I don't know this. Yeah, and so it's like it's a weird thing. Like all the Galapagos tortoises, like in general, most of them are hybrids of these different island varieties. And it would be, I don't know, it would be like a puzzle to figure out where they came from and figure out what the differences were and like, why is this one like this and why is this one this way and blah, blah, blah from the different ways the islands work. But yeah, it feels very satisfying to be like, now they're all back on their proper homes. They're doing okay.
It feels like one of those, like the fox and the chicken riddles where it's like they can't go, like they can't go at the same time, but like how do you get them to the right place? Yeah. And I feel like with the Galapagos tortoises, because I remember a few years ago, there was a lot of discussion of, was it the Floriana tortoise? It was there was like a subspecies from one of the islands that had gone extinct that they were trying to basically like reverse engineer.
Oh, yeah. Backbreed.
Because like they found a hybrid population on a different island that had some lineage from this extinct subspecies. So they figured, well, we can use these hybrids to like work backwards back into what like the old now extinct subspecies would have looked like, which I think is really cool. And I also am comparing and contrasting a lot. Not just like the process of it, but like how it was reported on and how it was communicated, and like the media responses to things of the tortoise compared to with more what you've been seeing like within the last year or so with this more pop sci idea of de-extinction.
Oh, yeah. Like, kind of a different deal. Yeah.
It's totally different. And it's like, but it's like, I hate that like the fumbling of one has like soured the entire thing, because like we can see these things happening like where they're being very clear about like, listen, we're not like bringing anything back from the dead, we're just trying to work back towards an approximation. Like I feel like they're doing everything like responsibly and like doing everything right, but like because you've got this sort of other rogue faction that's like, we're doing dire wolves.
Yeah,
it makes the whole thing look sketchy.
Yeah, that they definitely leaned into the thing that would get the most attention, and I think did a disservice to some of the stuff they're doing that is like seems actually interesting. My understanding is like at the heart of some of that research, they are hoping that instead of just cloning, like specifically red wolves, instead of just cloning them, that they could actually make a genetically distinct animal. So if you have wolf A and wolf B, it would be you took the DNA, you messed with it enough for it to be wolf Q, like completely new wolf you invented in a lab that then could add genetic diversity back into the population to stop some inbreeding. I believe that is the ultimate, like, can we do this? And the genetically modified gray wolves that they made are sort of proof of concept of that. Like, are they distinct enough from their parents to be considered not clones of their parents, but like completely new individuals? Which that is very interesting. It's also hard to like really get across in like a sexy little title.
there's not a clickbait sort of like, there's not
it's
a YouTube thumbnail for that.
It's a little tough.
How are you going to get that one across in 40 characters?
Yeah. One thing in working on endlings that I found out that I did not realize was that the ICUN's definition, like the way they think about de-extinction, is more in a critter's like role in the ecosystem, not the actual animal coming back. So it's like this ecosystem had a ecosystem engineer that consumed this amount of the biomass and was this part of the food web. We want something that fits that whole. If it is genetically similar to what was there, cool. But really, we just want somebody who fits in that puzzle piece. And that is more where officially they think of for de-extinction.
I was reading, an article about when they were like trying to reverse engineer the tortoises. Well, it was about, more like what was lost when the original tortoises did go extinct. And one of the things they talked about was something that, because a lot of times when you talk about an animal's role in the ecosystem, a lot of times it boils down to like what eats what. Like we end up talking about like what's eating plants, what's eating other animals, like what's eating what. But one of the things it talked about that was also an important role it was serving was as like a grass flattener, where like the tortoises are so big and heavy and they have a flat bottom. So as they're walking across the grass, they're flattening grass behind them. And it like leaves corridors for other animals to like, it leaves like a spot for reptiles to bask in, or like a spot for birds to lay their eggs, or, like a spot for mammals to like run through or something. Yeah. So like the idea of like, okay, we also need something that's going to bore like tunnels into the grass randomly every day.
Oh, that's great. How cool.
I find that really interesting, because that's like a very physical impact the animal has on its like world.
For sure.
That's not necessarily about its like trophic level.
Sure.
It's like more about like how it physically interacts with the world.
And also definitely something that it would be so much harder to learn from. We have a study specimen of this. We have just an account from 200 years ago of this, like things that you wouldn't know that it was doing unless you had the first, like if you could actually see it and like really figure out physically what it was doing in its environment. Oh, that's really cool. That's great.
Yeah. A lot of the like looking at like extinctions that happened more than like 100 or so years ago, I'm always like, man, if they could have, I wish they could have held out until we had like video cameras.
Oh my gosh.
Or like until we got like good at describing stuff. Like I wish they could have just held on for like a few more decades so that we could have got a few good like documentaries or something.
One of the saddest things about the passenger pigeon is we don't have any video, as far as I know. And we have photos, and we have a written like music notation of their call. But no like
musical,
no
like
sound
sheet music of their call.
Yeah, but no sound.
But you know what?
Yeah.
That's more than we have for a lot of things. So
no, totally.
That's actually a really cool thing to have.
Yeah.
Like that someone thought to write down, because that's especially because you mentioned earlier, like sometimes you look outside and you see that there's like a bunch of cardinals and you're like, that's normal. Cardinals are always there. You might not think to write down what they sound like, you know, you might not think like, oh, we better make a record of this totally normal thing because like if you just assume that it's just always gonna be normal and it's always gonna be there, then someday when they're not there anymore, you realize like, oh, I forgot to write that down, and now nobody knows what it sounds like anymore. I love sound archives.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, I know that stuff isn't always... There'll be, like, 400 recordings of, like, chickadee calls. And you're like, they're chickadees, you know? They're everywhere. But, like, you never know if that's going to be useful. You might need those chickadee calls someday.
And there's, like, research about, like, accents in bird calls. Like...
like, you never know what's to you is, like, commonplace and boring and background stuff could actually be, like, a missing piece of something. That's why I love, like, iNaturalist and stuff like that. Because I'm spamming so iNaturalist all day long.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I'm like, is this anything? Hope you could do something with this.
They are so great. Yeah, and it has other implications too. Like when people are like releasing things, they're like, oh, this bird was injured or whatever. And it's like, oh, if their accent is different than the birds in that area and you release them there, they may not be able to hang out.
Oh, they're too weird.
Yeah. They're I don't know what you're saying. I don't think so. Yeah.
Oh no, you call it a flat. Oh no.
Yeah. Exactly.
They just got back from foreign exchange.
Yep. That's the problem.
It does like make you, I guess, appreciate our attempts at documenting the nuances and the little subtleties and things that like we're just trying to figure out. Like it feels almost like playing the violin on the Titanic, right? When you're like, I guess these things are kind of disappearing all around us. Like it's like a mad scramble to be like, what can we like document? What can we write down? Like what can we like get specimens of? I was at the Beatty Biodiversity Museum at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver. And it is like, it's a museum, but it's a biodiversity museum. So it's not like a museum in the sense that they have like dioramas and like little exhibits and like lots of like signs and visuals and stuff like that. It's more like a library.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So like it's all shelves and cabinets and drawers of specimens. So it's like taxidermied and like wet specimens and stuff like that. Which at first I was like, I don't know how I'm going to feel about this. I don't know if I'm going to be like overwhelmed. Is this going to be like a little spooky? But then like they had a lot of specimens of things that are like, oh wow, this is an animal that doesn't even exist in the wild anymore or something.
Yeah. Did you like go in like at a library? Did you like go in with a list of things and they helped you find it? Were you allowed to just pull drawers?
Yeah, you could just walk around and like, a lot of the drawers and cabinets were locked, but a lot of them had glass like doors so you could at least see what was inside of them. But some of the drawers were open so that you could just like open and see what was inside.
Cool.
I mean, you know, obviously with like locked sort of displays and stuff, you couldn't like, grab stuff off of shelves and things. But we were lucky because we were there at the same time that a researcher doing something else was collecting specimens like from the museum for their research. So we got to actually watch them like getting out the specimens they needed, which was really cool. They were getting out like some kind of bugs. It was really cool to watch.
That's rad.
And it's sad to think about that, like, that's going to be sort of the last remaining evidence we have for a lot of things.
Yeah.
But, I mean, at least we have that, I guess.
Yeah, even for things that are doing okay, like those collections are still so important because there's weird variation that you don't notice until you do like really long studies. So it's like, oh, these beetles are this color and they're shaped like this and they live here. And then you look through specimens over time and you're like, wow, they used to be a different color. Or, there used to be way more variation in size than there is now. They've really conformed. Or the other way around. Like now there is much more size variation than there was 100 years ago or something. Like there are just like so many weird little things you can get when you have that amount of data. It's really cool.
Yeah. And then there's people in a museum every few years who will be like, what if we shine a black light on this stuff? Let's see if anything happens.
Best. Oh my gosh. What a fun day.
We'll just wave a quick black light over this and see what happens.
It's so much fun. I just like to imagine them just, after hours, the lights off, they're just shining, they're just opening cabinets. Like, is anything in here? Oh, no. Okay. What about this one? Oh, yeah.
Imagine just like one person like had a black light from like something else that they just like brought to like goof off with. And they were like, hold on a second.
Wait a second.
Open that cabinet real quick.
It's great. It's so good.
That also reminds me of when I was doing notes for the Galapagos tortoise episode not too long ago, a story in which when Charles Darwin like got to the Galapagos Islands, he had been told by a lot of people that like, oh, the tortoises on the islands are different from each other. And he was like, yeah, sure. Okay, fine. Like he like totally did not buy it at all. And he like saw them all over the place and he did not put two and two together at all. Like he did not write down any observations about the differences. He did not clock it at all. It was not a concern of his. And then when they were, like you mentioned, like getting on the ships to go back, they loaded the ship up with tortoises. And one of the big differences between the tortoises is the shell shape.
Sure.
Like some of them have domed shells and some of them have saddleback shells. Very, very noticeable differences in shell shape. And so he had like 30 tortoise shells or something on the ship. And then they left, they go back to England. And it wasn't until like 10 years later that he was like, dang, I should have checked to see if some of them had different shells. They had tossed them overboard because they ate the turtles. Yep. And then when they were done with them, they just like chucked them into the ocean like chicken bones. Yep. And that was like the evidence he would have needed.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It was like human understanding of evolutionary science was like stalled for like years because he didn't have them anymore. They were at the bottom of the ocean. So he had to like go track some more shells down.
Yeah.
Because they ate them and threw them away.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Science delayed due to we ate the evidence.
Of course. Oh my gosh.
Sarah, what's your number one top of the list? What's your dream comeback?
Oh man, so is part of this because like this episode came out very recently and so it's all I've been thinking about. It'd be great if eastern panthers, cougars used to live in North America and South America. They were the land mammal with the widest range in this hemisphere. They were all the flip over the place. And then overhunting, habitat loss, etc. Now mountain lions in North America are just Western guys. Like the East Coast only right now has panthers in South Florida, and they're not doing great.
Bad, very bad.
Yeah, it's rough. It's real rough. But yeah, it would be incredible if there were mountain lions all through the eastern United States again.
It would be nice if the coyotes had a little something to, a little competition.
Yeah, it could maybe balance out a number of things.
Knock the coyotes down a peg.
Yeah, I know, like, whitetail deer are, like, in some places, numbers are wild on the East Coast. Same with black bears, coyotes, all sorts of things that potentially mountain lions would maybe balance out a little bit. I think we'd probably have to have more forests back as well for that to even be possible. There are reports every now and again in lots of places on the East Coast that people have seen mountain lions, that they've gotten trail cam, etc. It is so hard to prove at this point, and a lot of those photos are like too blurry to really know. But then there's also a level of the cats range really widely. Like there have been, I want to say 2 people who have been prosecuted for poaching Florida panthers, and those were both in Georgia, where the cats had traveled like 600 miles up into the Okefenokee.
Oh, wait, Okefenokee. Yes, I know exactly where that is. I lived in northern Florida. And so I did not live in panther country. We called them panthers there. We never called them mountain lions. We didn't even really call them cougars. We called them panthers, which I think is like a distinctly Florida thing.
The names are all very interchangeable.
It doesn't matter.
Anyone who gets mad at you about it. I mean, like, if you want to go panther being, like, do the Latin about it, it's not the same genus. Like, but this is the colloquial. This is what they're called by people who live there.
Like, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Let me say my words.
English is only wrong if you lose the ability to understand what the other person is saying.
Yeah.
Then you have messed up in English. Everything else, you get it. It's fine.
Intelligibility is the name of the game here.
Yeah, exactly.
I never got to see them, but they were definitely like an icon, I think, of the state, where like they were on a lot of license plates and, you'd see them depicted a lot, even though, yes, they were extremely rare. And like you mentioned, they are more common in South Florida, but you would sometimes hear of them, probably I would imagine because it's a large predator with a very low population density, right? Yeah. There's not that many of them, so they could probably spread out a lot.
Yeah, the whole story is very weird. Yeah, because they were down to 30 individuals in the mid-90s. And then they did the genetic rescue. Because they were getting so inbred, because it's such a small population, they can't get anywhere else, especially with just urbanization and highway systems and everything. They're definitely in this kind of island that makes it very hard for them to get out. And so the closest population, it was determined, was the cats that are in West Texas. And so they took 8 female mountain lions from West Texas and took them down to Florida and let them go to increase population numbers and like help with genetic diversity. And it seems to have worked as well as it can for what they're trying to do, because population is now up to 200 and something. And a lot of the worst kind of genetic problems, they're not seeing those as often as they were seeing them for a while. But they're still, the things are, if they're not literally fenced in, they are like really, they can't expand territory. So there's like, there would be a cap on population number. They are hit by cars all the dang time, which is bad when you only have so many.
They've gotten the Florida, I don't know if it's Fish and Wildlife or if it's the Department of Transportation, or maybe they're working together, but Florida has actually rolled out a lot of wildlife corridors.
Yes, it's so good.
And it's great because they set up trail cams at the wildlife corridors. So you can go online and you can look up like videos of animals that use the wildlife corridors. And there's usually like a learning period where like animals have to kind of like figure it out first. Yeah. But like you can see bears and panthers and tortoises and like all sorts of really cool like animals that you might not have even thought we had using the corridor. It's really, really cool.
It's great. It's so cool.
I love to see them following the rules.
Yeah, it's path of least resistance. It's like, oh, actually, this is an easier way of getting over there than that other method I was using, which was always a little scary. It's a little more secret.
I keep dying.
Yeah, not weird lights and sounds. And
I will say, as someone from Florida, it has been nice gatekeeping the panthers from the rest of the East Coast. Has been nice having one thing that like is the thing we've got that nobody else got.
There you go.
But maybe we can share. We could. We don't have to gatekeep. We can let everybody have a slice of the mountain lion.
And I mean, like, it definitely seems like they, if given the chance, if they had the ability to spread out, if there wasn't like all these barriers, they would expand their range up and out, etc. And I think so would the cats in other places. Like, there's a level of when people say that they've seen cougars in eastern states, that especially really far north, that it could very well be these are ones from a few provinces over in Canada that have just really taken a trek to see what's out there. Not necessarily a sustaining population in the East Coast, but just some wandering guys who are just checking it out and seeing how far they can get.
Reminds me of, what's the jaguar? El Jefe? The jaguar that keeps showing up in Arizona?
Oh, I didn't know how to name. That's great.
I think he shows up I think that's his name. I'm going to see if I can look at it. I think it's just one. Yeah, okay. He's a male jaguar seen in Arizona and Mexico. The only wild jaguar verified to live in the United States since 2009.
That's cool.
And was named by students in a contest in 2015, according to Wikipedia.
Great. That's really good.
Yeah, he's like this jaguar that like every once in a while will pop up in Arizona from time to time, like on people's like on cameras and stuff. He just like wanders up and then he goes back. But then he comes back and then he goes home.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's another thing that people don't think about generally when thinking about the actions that humans have having conservation and like biodiversity consequences, like restricting movement.
Yeah.
Like literally just like restricting the ability of an animal to get from one place to another can really mess them up. And like it can create these sort of like population fragments where like there's a genetic, they can't get to new areas to find new mates. So you get this like genetic collapse.
Yeah.
And I think that's a part of like conservation that people don't think about as commonly, being like, oh, are you like impeding the ability of an animal to like reach a place it should be able to reach?
Yeah, wildlife corridors are definitely I feel like the next like big thing that we have to figure out how to do sustainably and in ways that people will actually agree on.
Right. Yeah.
Which is so tough because like building those, like the bridges or the like big culverts under roads for things to go through, like those are huge building projects. And so like so many people have to be okay with that. And then there's always going to be some people who are like, what if I don't want more of those animals anywhere close to me? And it's like, dang it.
Well, how about you do?
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. It's like living up here in Montana. That's definitely a big thing with like grizzlies. Like grizzly populations are very fragmented, and also like bison. They're the ones in the park. And then there's a whole weird thing about them not being able to leave the park. It's like, oh, they live here in the park. Isn't it amazing? And then the second they try to leave the park, there's all sorts of hazing and stuff to get them to go back in because like they're protected and people expect them there, but they don't want the like herds running across the highway. Bison will take down your fence in a way that an elk or a deer or an antelope would not. And so people with cattle, they don't really want that. They're like, I don't even know where the debate is right now on whether or not they can give a cow wasting disease or brucellosis or like other things. Like there are all sorts of like, I think they would give disease to my cows. So many weird things. But yeah, it's weird. And it's all about like, how do these animals exist in the world that we have?
Right.
And where is that balance?
On the topic of bison.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever been to Florida?
Yes, I have been to Florida.
Have you been to Central Florida? Like around like Orlando, Disney World?
Only on a school trip. We took a bus all the way from Central Texas to Orlando to play a marching band thing.
Oh, that's marching band behavior.
Yeah.
That's band activities.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, including people who born and raised in Florida, do not know this.
Okay.
In Central Florida, there is a preserve. It's outside of Gainesville, and it's called Payne's Prairie. And in this preserve, they have repopulated bison, which were native to Florida. And bison lived in Florida even in like colonial times. There were like letters and stuff from like Spanish colonizers that were writing about the bison in Central Florida. When you think of bison, you don't think Florida, right? Like that's really not a place you think bison will go. So obviously bison went extinct there a very long time ago. But then in the 70s in Central Florida, they, established this sort of, I don't know if it's a state park. It's not a national park. It must be a state park. They decided to sort of do as much as they possibly could to get it back to like pre-Spanish ecosystem.
Wild.
So like part of that involved repopulating it with bison. So they brought bison in. I think they were also from Texas. They brought like a herd of bison in, and they are wild in the sense that they aren't bred or, nobody is like going out and like
they're not managing them,
but they are
contained
contained to the preserve. I do think that they monitor them and keep an eye on the herd and everything like that, but they are wild repopulated bison.
Wow, that's
and I
cool.
think, and a lot of people do not know that there are wild bison in Florida.
Yeah, that's great. That's cool.
And it's one of those things where it's like they're not native bison, but they're pretty close to like what we would have had originally. So they were native
Very
there.
similar to the panther thing.
It's what you were saying, right? Of like, are they genetically identical? No.
Yeah.
But are they doing what they were originally supposed to be doing there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like it's filling the role all over again. I don't know. When you think of Florida, you think of mostly like flat, maybe marshes, swamps, beaches, things like that. You don't necessarily think of those like prairies with bison on them.
Yeah, that's cool.
But that's how they were, even just a
wild.
few hundred years ago. And so that's like that. I think that's a really cool thing to see.
Yeah.
Like you can see this like resurrection, I guess, of like the long lost. It's a small little pocket of Florida, but it's there anyway.
Ah, that's so cool.
If you find yourself in Central Florida, try to go see the bison.
I'll have to. I'll put that on my list.
Well, Sarah, for anyone who is interested in hearing more from Bizarre Beasts or from Endlings or anything, where can people go to find you and your work?
Yes. So YouTube is where you can find the shows. So the YouTube channel Bizarre Beasts is where we're posting both Bizarre Beast episodes, which we do once a month. They're always about a weird animal. And we also always do a enamel pin for every episode, and you can join the pin club and get a cool pin.
Oh.
You people at
Nobody
home
else
can't
can
see this.
Just for me, but I see.
I have my little bulldog bat.
Oh, he's so cute.
Yes, pin. Yeah, and we have a bunch of episodes. We've been doing the show for 5 years now, and so we've covered a lot of crazy guys. And then Endlings is a show that we are also putting on the same channel. It's on the Bizarre Beast channel, and there will be 7 episodes for now. Who knows? Maybe we'll do more. Who can say? Yeah, and that's all there on YouTube.
Awesome. Is there anywhere where you would like people to go to find more of like you specifically, like on social media or anything like that?
Sure. I am on Instagram. Sarah.Suta, I think is what it is. SARAH.SUTA.
There's also like social media accounts for the shows and stuff.
Oh yeah,
like
the show has Bizarre Beasts or Bizarre Beast Show on all types of things is out there. Yeah.
Perfect. I will have links to everything in the episode description, so anyone listening can just scroll down and click through and go follow the show, follow the channel, follow you, find more from you. Sarah, this has been so much fun. I've had a really great time talking with you. It has filled me with an interesting mix of hope and dread.
Yep. Every day.
And thank you for teaching me about these animals that maybe are on their last stand, or animals that we maybe have a chance at. Or I think it's helpful to think about both the past and the future at the same time and have a little bit of hope and optimism. Yeah,
of course. We're still here. It's not too late. Giving up is not the answer.
No, anything's better than nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe go out and write some sheet music.
There you go.
Go notate some bird calls.
Listen to a bird and notate it.
Document something today.
Yeah,
that could be the call to action. Document something today.
I like it.
Thanks, Sarah. We'll talk to you later.
Yes, thank you.
Bye. Thank you all so much for listening. I hope that you got to learn something new that hopefully inspired some hope, or at the very least, appreciation for the wildlife we still have. If you liked what you heard today, I would love it if you leave behind some If you liked what you heard today, I would love it if you left behind some kind words for us in a review on your podcast app of choice. If you want to hang out with us online, we're on Facebook, Instagram, Discord, Blue Sky. Links to everything will be in the episode description. You can also send me an email at ellen@justthezooofus.com if you have a cool animal you would like to hear us talk about on the show. We'd like to thank Maximum Fun for having us on their network alongside their other amazing shows like the ones that you heard promos for during this episode. You can go check those out and learn more about the network and how you can be a part of supporting our show, plus get access to our monthly bonus content over at MaximumFun.org. Finally, we would like to thank Louis Zong for our theme music. That's all for today. We'll see you next week. Thanks.
Maximum Fun.
A worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows.
Supported
directly
by you.